community. I hope this video finds you well. For this week's video, I'd like to talk a little bit about the somatic work, the somatic body work, and how it relates to the aging process. A lot of us feel that the aging process has to be a drying process. If you think about the way a newborn baby comes out of the womb, so juicy and plump, and their skin is supple, and then you think about as we age how we can kind of get a little bit more leathery, a little less supple. We don't bounce quite as much as we used to. And we tend to think that this is just part of the aging process that we just have to accept, like that's just the way it is. However, with the somatic work, we don't think about the aging process like that. Aging and drying are not necessarily the same thing. Because in the somatic work, what we're doing is increasing the fluidity in the spine, in the connective tissue, in the fascia. We do this by gentle movements, by engaging and disengaging, but even more so in the biomorphic movement when we ignite the movement of the spine, that it moves either like a spiral or a wave or a twisting action. Those are the three actions that the spine does. A lot of the work is based on Emily Conrad's work of continuum. You can find that anywhere on Google. She also wrote Life on Land, which you've heard me reference this book before, Life on Land by Emily Conrad. Emily, who is now passed, worked with spinal cord complete patients, people that could not walk. Their spinal cord was a complete sever. And what she found was that the movement of biomorphic movement, which basically means like just gesturing in the spine, it really doesn't make any sense. There's no structure to it. She was just worked on trying to move the fluid system in the body. And the miraculous result was that she regrew nerves and these people could move. They were no longer paraplegics. It's quite fascinating work, but if you think about what it did for people that had spinal cord complete severs, what could it do for us? The movement is so gentle and anybody could do it, and this biomorphic movement is to just free the fluid system. See, when we move micro little moves like a wave or an undulation of the spine, and we just relax as deeply as we can, that's why the approach to the somatic work is extremely similar to meditation. What happens is we enter the fluid system, and it's the fluid that has the intelligence. All water has a universal intelligence. And like I've spoken about 2 videos back about the cosmic consciousness and the somatic work and how they relate to each other. And it's they're the same, basically. And when the nervous system relaxes and the tension patterns in the connective tissue get dissolved, we become more fluid. And when we allow that fluid to increase and to just keep it moving, this is what can basically rebuild our nervous systems and rebuild our spinal columns and increase our suppleness in our connective tissue. And as we age, we can dissolve tension patterns and become more supple. We do not have to dry as we get older. It's the tension patterns in the connective tissue that cause the drying. When there's tension patterns based either on repetitive motion, surgery scars, trauma, emotional stress. People don't realize that when we're under emotional stress, tension patterns develop in the connective tissue and muscles actually turn off, right? So when we're sitting for a long time, it's not uncommon that your glutes will just turn off. And this happens when we go through a very big trauma. Many muscles can turn off. Neurologically, the system gets so stressed out that it's no longer making the connections that it used to. So our muscles can turn on and turn off all the time. And when we engage in the somatic work, we're exploring that. And as we gain the mind body connection and we sense deeply into the body, we can sense when things are turned on and turned off. We can sense if something feels supple. We can sense if something feels like dry tissue or exhausted tissue, which that's also like a drying type of characteristic when something is so exhausted that it can't ignite, so the fluid doesn't go through it. So this is just a little different way of looking at the aging process, that the somatic work really offers this opportunity that aging is doesn't have to be drying. It's not as degenerative of a process that a lot of us actually are buying into. And that's just another fabulous way of how the somatic work can keep us supple and fluid. And when the spine has a fluid motion, that means the synovial fluid moving up the spine to the brain becomes more pronounced, which means that our minds are sharper and clearer. I'm sure you've seen elderly people with calcified spines that basically where all the vertebrae feel like they've fused together and the vertebrae now do not work independently. When a person has something like that going on, that means their brain is not getting the same clarity. They're not as sharp. There's a lot of confusion. It's hard to learn new things. So there's just so many ways that I can share with you that how the somatic work is nothing short of miraculous, because what I find so miraculous about it is that anyone can do it. It's extremely gentle, and the benefits just continue to go on, and life becomes juicy again. So I'd love to hear your comments, love to hear your feedback. Wishing you a beautiful week. Bye.